Hello, welcome to your Global Fashion and Supply Chain podcast. Today, Friday, April 3rd. Eurozone manufacturing hits a 45-month high, but cost pressure is already eating into the gains. Corporate distress in Europe is climbing, and retail is taking the hardest hit. And the Middle East conflict is sending shockwaves from Dubai's luxury floor all the way to Strait of Hormuz. I'm Sedat Sezer, breaking down the news and insights you need to start your day. Let's start in Europe, because two stories out of this week tell me the same underlying story from opposite angles. The first piece of data looks encouraging on the surface. Eurozone manufacturing hit a 45-month high in March 2026. That's nearly 4 years of contraction reserved, which is not a small thing. If you are a Turkish exporter, your first reaction might be demand is coming back. And that's not wrong. When European factories start running harder, they need fabric, they need garments, they need input from the supply chain. Turkey is the next door. That proximity matters. But here's the catch. The same report flags a sharp surge in energy and raw material costs. So European manufacturers are producing more, yes, but their margins are under serious pressure. And when margins compress at that level of the chain, it flows downstream fast. Procurement teams start squeezing, lead times get compressed, payment terms get renegotiated. You know how this works. This connects directly to the second story out of Europe this week. The Whale European Distress Index, which tracks corporate insolvency and default risk across continent, is climbing. The sector getting hit hardest is retail. Fashion and apparel retail specifically. Rising energy and raw material costs aren't just hurting manufacturers. They are hitting consumers' wallets too. Spending is softening. European fashion retailers are caught in a vice: cost up, demand down, margins squeezed from both sides. Now Turkey sends more than 60% of its ready-to-wear exports to European Union. So when European fashion retailers are struggling, the orders don't disappear overnight, but they do get delayed, cut, or repriced. I've seen this circle before. When a buyer is under financial pressure, the first thing they do is renegotiate terms with suppliers. And if the suppliers is dependent on that buyer, they take the hit. This is a structural vulnerability in Turkey's export model that hasn't been fixed yet. The manufacturing uptick is real, but it doesn't necessarily translate into clean, full margin orders for Turkish suppliers, not yet. Same week, different risk entirely, and this one comes further east. The Middle East conflict is dragging on, and Dubai is starting to feel in a very specific way. Fashion Network is reporting that luxury retail in the Gulf has pulled back 20 to 30%, driven by a significant drop in the Gulf shopper profile. The regional tourism and discretionary spending environment has deteriorated sharply as the US-Israel-Iran conflict deepens. Dubai's high-end malls, which have spent years positioning themselves as a global luxury hub, are seeing the traffic pull back. For Turkey, this matters on two levels. Turkish fashion brands that have been expanding into Gulf markets, and there are growing numbers of them, are going to find that strategy slowing down. The expansion pipeline was based on a certain level of stability and the footfall in those markets. That assumption is now being tested. The second level of logistic, the Strait of Hormuz, sits at the entry point to the Persian Gulf. Iran is reportedly in protocol discussions with Oman about managing the strait. Brent is trading above $109. European gas prices have hit record levels. And Pegasus has extended flight cancellations on several Middle East routes. This is not a hypothetical risk anymore. It's an active, live disruption to the energy, freight environment that Turkish manufacturers depend on. I've talked about the Hormuz risk before on this podcast. When energy costs spike from geopolitical tension, it hits Turkish production costs before it hits the export price. The lag between the input shock and the recovery in selling price is where manufacturers bleed. And right now, that window is wide open. So, where does this leave us today? Europe showing signs of industrial recovery, while retail is under financial stress. Gulf luxury markets contracting, energy and logistics under Hormuz-related pressure. And Vietnam, by the way, also reporting cost increase in March, which is a reminder that the nearshoring case for Turkey isn't just about geographically. It's about being able to hold your cost position while others can't. The opportunity is real, but it requires margin discipline, sustainability readiness, and the speed infrastructure to actually capture it. The brands that are doing distressed buyer math in Europe procurement right now are not looking for the cheapest option. They are looking for the most reliable one. The main questions I want to leave you with this weekend is this: is Turkey positioned as reliable or just available? That's all for today's analysis. To make sure you never miss the insights behind the numbers, hit subscribe wherever you get your podcast. I'm Sedat Sezer. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you on Monday, and until then, stay ahead of the curve.